Welcome to the Scoop World Order. We have a monster show on tap for you guys today. We've had a monster week on Buckeye Scoop. We've broken every record in terms of views, posts. It's been a nutty week just coming off of the Oregon issues on defense. NevadaBuck had a massive bit of information that he dropped, so I'm going to bring him in first. Nevada, give me a little bit about your initial nugget. It went absolutely crazy, one of our biggest threads we've ever had. Give us a little bit about that. Give us a little bit of update on where it's at, and take it from there, man. Because you're the guy that broke some really huge information on early in this week.
Yeah, well, basically where we're at right now is that there's going to be an entire restructure on the Ohio State defensive side, and we've been talking about that all week. How it's basically reached a critical mass with Ryan Day, where he is asked for some major changes on that side of the ball. And right now, the only thing we're waiting for is to find out how massive they'll be. We know for a fact that Combs is being relieved of his play calling responsibilities. There's going to be some shuffling about guys moving from the field up to the box. There's been active conversations going on with potential candidates to come in and help, either in a 5-month rental capacity as a defensive position coach, or as an analyst. And, there's just so much to sort out right now. It's kind of crazy. You've got a tough situation where Ohio State's only got 4 defensive coaches right now, and you generally need 3 of them on the field, to coach defensive backs, linebackers, and defensive linemen, and that leaves only 1 guy in the box. And Ohio State feels like they're at a disadvantage with that, and is trying to figure out a way to address it. So lots going on. It's fast and furious. Day's really got to make some decisions. He's told everybody, including the agents, that they'll have an answer by tomorrow. So I expect to hear something in the next 24 hours regarding which way this is going to shake out. But it's definitely a exciting time on the Ohio State defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it's exciting if you're not actually in the staff room. It's exciting if you're on the message boards. Bank, you chimed in. You reached out to some of your Big Ten contacts and had a really nice updated nuggets, kind of going through the Kerry Combs hire, kind of going through some of our issues. Expound upon that a little bit, just because you had a great nugget, or excuse me, a bank blog the other day, and give us a little bit of what you've heard so far from some of the people inside the conference.
Yeah, it was pretty much what Ross Fulton and others had talked about, when Kerry was hired. He had never been a defensive coordinator before, and that definitely is an issue. And then, he has never coached a single high before, and it's not used a lot. It's a rare defense. I mean, it was a Jeff Hafley thing, and then you added in that Hafley had Akuda, Fuller, Arnett, plus Wade as the number 3 guy, slot guy. Well, you didn't have that. Now, Kerry Combs has to move Wade to the 1, breaking all new guys. And it's a defense he's never coached before, and it wasn't very good last year. And, we saw what happened in championship game. And you hope things would be cured in the offseason. It seemed like they were tweaking a lot of things to get best 11 on the field and all that stuff. And, I mean, it just hasn't worked. I guess that's the bottom line. When you can talk for 1,000 words on this, but the bottom line is it hasn't worked. And at Ohio State, man, it's a tough place to learn on the job. And it's not an easy place when you lose there. And everybody knows that. It's the same at Alabama, same at Clemson. You got to win. So it's not working. So there have to be changes made, whether they're, subtle tweaks or major blowups. This cannot go on.
Beck, I'm going to give you guys each a shot at this. I'm going to stick with you to start. If you're Ryan Day, what changes do you make this week going forward in the season? Because, the one thing you got going for you is you have 4 weeks that are essentially bye weeks. You're playing Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland. So we're going to be heavy favorites in all those games. So unlike the National Football League, where it's like you might have a bye week and then you're playing an NFL team, like you're playing 4 teams that, unless there's an atrocity, you're going to win. So what changes would you make if you're the head coach right now?
Well, I'm not as smart as Ryan Day, and I don't pretend to be. And I believe in Ryan Day. Okay. I mean, nobody gets it perfect, Kirk. And you played for Jim Tressel. He was not perfect. You know, Nick Saban got beat by Urban Meyer, and at that point, it looked like Nick was done and in trouble and lost. Well, he found a way to come back from that. Then Dabo beat him twice, and it looked like, well, the game's passed him by. It's over for Nick. He got back in it. I mean, so this is what coaches do. Dabo right now is looked at as a guy struggling. He's got 2 titles in the last 5 or 6 years. This is natural for coaches. Bill Belichick now is looked at as a guy that doesn't have answers right now. So why would Ryan Day not be in this position when every coach ends up in this position? It's not the fact that you end up a little bit in the mud. It's how do you get out of it? So what would he do?
Nope.
I would really, what I think they need to do is eliminate this hockey line rotation, unbelievable switching where everybody gets to play. It's like, it's like a little league team where, you want everyone to play. Dial it down, get your best players on the field, but then let them play. Those linebackers, you can't play 8 of them in a game. Okay? That ain't going to work. So that I would want to simplify things from that position, that standpoint. I think that would help the linebackers. The DBs, I think, have been pretty good. Really, the corners have, and that was a big worry this year. And then, Kirk, you played before. Players have to play. And Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, Haskell Garrett, Tayron Vincent, every school in the country would love to have those guys. So it's not talent with what's up front. They got their tails whipped the other day. Oregon could not run the ball on that powerful Fresno State team. Less than 4 yards a carry. They run for 7 yards a carry against Ohio State. That's player. You got to play. You got to do your job. So, you got to get them guys to play better, number one. And I think they got to simplify that linebacker rotation hockey line switching all the time. Those would be like quick, easy things that I could do.
Yeah. What about you, Nevada? What would you do if you're wearing the head coach? You're sitting in that chair right now. What are you doing to right the ship at this moment?
Well, I think you need another voice in the defensive room. I think Day made a critical mistake underweighting the defensive staff and only having 4 guys on there. And I would make a tough choice and either bring in a guy from outside, and there are guys that are available, the guys that are available to step in right now. Or if you want to still stay kind of semi inside, then you go to Paul Rhodes and you tell Parker Fleming to go back to being an analyst. And it's cold blooded, but I think that's what you have to do. I mean, this is big boy football, and it's fine to talk about Ryan Day and the same things as Belichick and Dabo and Saban and all those other guys, but Ryan Day hasn't won anything yet. So Ryan Day's got to make some tough decisions right now. And, I believe in Ryan Day. I believe Ryan Day is a very, very smart guy. I offensively, despite whatever shortcomings we have, I will ride or die with Ryan Day on the offense. I think that'll be fine. That'll work itself out. But defensively, I think you need another adult in the room. And I think they better get him there fast because the defense is a mess. The defense was a mess last year. We all made excuses for it. When Indiana scored 35 points on seemingly in the second half, and Penn State threw for 280 yards in the second half, and we all know what happened in the national championship game. We all made excuses, but it's back again. And so I think he's got to be a big boy and step up and make some tough calls and make them quickly.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fascinating to see if he brings someone in. Obviously, you mentioned some names. You mentioned Will Muschamp, Mark D'Antonio, Greg Madison. I think that it goes to show that Ryan isn't above making a major decision to try to right the ship because he's got to look at guys like Chris Olave in the face and Thayer Munford and guys that could have gone pro on the offensive side of the ball and they're like, Coach, we came back for this and we just had 600 yards of offense and we lost because for whatever reason guys aren't getting it. Like when you have guys that are at Ohio State, they've got a decent amount of talent, decent amount of intelligence, and when they're not getting what you're coaching, then eventually that's to fall back on the coaching. But to Bill's point, I've always been a big proponent of blaming the players, and it's not because I'm a hater, but I played on some terrible offensive lines. I played, where they wanted to fire Jim Bowman every single week. And I was always like, guys, we have to play better. Like, it's like if you're getting whipped on a 2-on-1 block or you're getting beaten pass pro, that's not on Jim Bowman. Like he can coach us up, but he's put Nick Mangold in the league, Charles Bentley in the league. He's coached some really good players. And They're really productive in the NFL. So guys, eventually, it's on us to do it. And honestly, if you would have told me before the season that we'd have 1 sack after 2 games and our corners would be the strength of our defense, I would have thought you were absolutely insane. But that's kind of where we're at. I think that Zach Harrison, for his metrics and his body comp and his speed, I can't believe that he's not more effective as a pass rusher. It's like he plays robotic. I watch him and he stays blocked, and these guys can't stay blocked. And you're that single high man. If we're playing all this man defense and you don't have a pass rush, it's going to be a really long day for you. Really long. So, Bank, Ryan promised changes and they're going to resort the organization. I've been a part of that before as a player in 2004 when we put Jim Bowman up in the booth and we brought John Peterson down. It helped dramatically. When we put Ed Warner upstairs for the 2015 Michigan game after the Michigan State game, it helped dramatically. We ended up beating Michigan and beat Notre Dame. Who do you predict is up or down, and how do you think they reorganize this defense?
Yeah, that's a great question. That would be probably better for Nevada than me with his sources. I don't know how, what they're going to do. I mean, I thought Ryan Day's press conference this week was pretty telling because I'm so used to over 20 years, you go through Tressel and Urban and you're so used to the coach speak nonsense. Man, I thought that was pretty telling. I thought he threw some people under the bus. And, I think we're going to see changes. I don't know how they go about that, what they're going to do. Like Nevada said, I mean, you'd like to have one more defensive coach in that room. I mean, I think you're a little short there. The only thing that I would say is I really think this mind-numbing substitution pattern where I think they played, 27 guys, 26 guys on defense the other day. I think that has to stop. Rotate your D lineman a little bit. I'm cool with it. But you can't play 8 linebackers in a game. Can't have Steel Chambers in there on huge downs. He's learning the position. He's been a running back for 2 years. You can't have Gayo Deote, who just got eligible a minute and a half ago, on key down. I mean, this is just basic stuff. I think they streamlined this substitution. I thought after the Minnesota game, the way they subbed like it was an inter-squad scrimmage where the score didn't really matter, but, man, we got to take a look at our guys here. This was not an inter-squad scrimmage against Minnesota. You about lost. Same thing against Oregon, and you do lose. You get popped. Okay, so streamline the substituting. But in terms of what coach is up, what coach is down, man, I don't know. I'm waiting to see. I mean, I think Ryan Day promised action, not overreaction, but he promised action. And I'm dying for that ball to get put on a tee this Saturday just to see what it looks like. Because I didn't take from that it was coach speak from Ryan Day, and it'll be the same old again this week. And he just said it just to placate the media. I didn't take it that way at all, Kirk. I think he meant it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some drastic action just because, again, I've been around Ohio State for a very long time.
Right.
I've never seen anything like that. Like, I mean, Tressel, Urban, as crazy and fiery as Urban was, I'd never seen anything where you could just you could almost feel through the screen how angry he was.
Yes.
About having to not waste his time, but he has to go basically do someone else's work. It'd be like if I had to write the bank blog and do the bank chat, and then I still have to go do my job too. It's like, guys, we're all adults. We're all getting paid good money. Like I should be in the offensive staff room game planning with Kevin Wilson, and I have to come over here and ask you guys why our guys don't know how to crack or place and why our guys don't know how to line up right and why we have these missed assignments in key moments. Nevada, I want to toss it to you. Just predictions on how they will resort the staff on Saturday. I know that you're on the record saying you believe Matt Barnes is the play caller now. Any predictions on that? Who's up, who's down? Just kind of the organization of the defense now.
Yeah, well, I believe Barnes has got to be the guy calling the play. I just think that there's been such a crisis of confidence with Carey right now that I think Barnes has got to get the shot. Now, where that's going to be from and how that's going to be aligned, I just don't have the slightest idea how that's going to work. And I've been digging to try to get some clarity on that, but I think we'll know more in the next little bit. But Barnes has got to be the guy, in my opinion, that calls the plays, that gives you a chance to kind of get things. But the one thing I know for a fact is, this has been kind of interesting that Ryan Day, when he took over, Ryan Day was looking for change within the Ohio State organization. He changed a lot of things. He changed some terminology. He changed some way we did some things. Heck, he changed the office. He changed Urban Meyer's office and reconfigured it and did some things. And Ryan Day was about kind of making people comfortable, whereas Urban Meyer's, you well know, the essence of what Urban Meyer was about, making people uncomfortable and putting them in difficult spots and challenging them and being a taskmaster. Well, let me tell you what. The vibe in the WAC is different this week than it's ever been. Now, I'm not saying that things are changed and this is going to be better and we're going to see but it's different, and everybody feels it, and everybody's walking around in there knowing that it's not happy day anymore right now. It's mean Ryan, and we'll see how that results in things on the field. But that as you said, that press conference, that was not your typical Ohio State press conference. That was something completely different. And at that point, we all knew that, I'd heard things. I'd been talking to agents. I've been talking to people. I've been talking to my contacts. But when I saw that, all doubt was removed. Their change is coming, and it's coming quickly to the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, you could even see it on Saturday when they broke the huddle after a timeout with 12 guys, and then Ohio State had to waste a timeout that really they could have used at the end of the half. We had to waste 2 timeouts on defense, and then at the end of the half we have the ball and we're driving and we throw it in the middle of the field and we can't stop the clock. If the clock runs out, we're down on the 20-yard line. We could have kicked the field goal, maybe took a shot at the end zone, and it's just been the organization's been poor. I don't know. It's hard because, like Banks said, Kerry Combs, he's a good guy. He treats us great when we sit him at camp, talk to him. It's nothing personal, but it's just these guys got to get organized. I mean, they got to produce and something it was really strange that Teo literally was out there for so many snaps in such critical situations when he was ineligible, literally the day before. They found out at walkthrough that he was eligible, which is at 5:00 at night, and we're playing a noon game. So he might not have even been he probably was on the travel squad. I would think he might not even been on the travel squad initially, because you're not going to travel a guy who's ineligible or who they deem ineligible. And then all of a sudden he's out there for really critical downs. And I was like, I've been in that mindset before when I had a foot surgery in the middle of 2006. I didn't play. I wasn't expecting to play. I had to fly to Florida to do my friend's funeral. He was 24 years old. So I got back up there on Thursday. I didn't practice literally all week. And Friday, Jim Bowman's do you want to start the game on Saturday? I'm like, absolutely. I mean, I hadn't studied any film. I hadn't been in the game plan, hadn't been practice. So I was literally winging it. And the second play of the game, my foot tore because it was this surgery because I had plantar fasciitis, and they did this laser technique where it literally cooks it. And the skull, the tissue ripped in half on the second play of the game. So the first play of the game, I get a pancake. Second play of the game, throw it out to Ted. He reverses field. I'm trying to get a block, and it feels like my foot rips in half. So TJ Downing is my roomie. He's like, get out of here. We don't need you for this one. So I limp off the field. They cart me off. And the doctor actually said that's actually really good that the tissue ripped because it'll heal faster. And I was like, well, that's great. But I mean, mentally, I just wasn't there because I was on the fence about playing. I didn't want to miss a start. I wanted to be there for my teammates, but I hadn't practiced. I hadn't prepared. I hadn't, done the things you need to do to be successful. And it's I just wonder how his mindset was. If you're ineligible, are you really watching film? I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. If there's no way you can play in the game because you're ineligible, they roll you ineligible. How hard are you preparing? And then all of a sudden they flip the switch. You're eligible, and they put you out there, and maybe he did prepare, but I don't know. But I mean, he had 2 critical missed assignments that cost us dearly. And I don't really put that on the kid because he wasn't planning on playing, and he'd been running with the third team. And, all of a sudden he's out there. It's 3rd and 9 from their own 1. And and he lets the tight end go. Tight end catches the ball, converts, and huge play in the game. I mean, that would have been a massive shift in momentum. But we're going to go back to you, Bank. What players would you like to see more of currently? Because one of the biggest issues is defensively, we're not getting pressure up front and we don't blitz, or if we blitz the wrong guys. What guys would you like to see more of defensively? I mean, we all kind of know the guys that we want to see less of, so we don't need to name names there, but who are some guys that you'd like to see more of, maybe in different positions? Ryan Watts at safety, JT at defensive end or D tackle? Who are some guys you'd like to see this week get deeper into the rotation?
Yeah, on the D line, I think you need your core guys to play better. Okay,
Yeah.
and so I'm not ready to bench Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, Haskell
No.
Garrett. They'd have to play better, and whatever that takes, you know how you got to get them to play better. That's up to Larry Johnson. So there, I'm gonna ride with them guys. Linebacker, just find me 2 or 3 guys, and ride with them. You know, I think Cody Simon has to be on the field. I mean, and I don't think he was all that good last week, but you can see that he's got a lot of potential. So I'm going to roll with a guy like that. He's got potential. He's got skills that I think with experience, he's going to be a heck of a player. You know, then, man, I don't know with those linebackers then. I don't know. They see him every day in practice. So do you stick with Mitchell? You know, Eichenberg, and I've been the biggest Tommy Eichenberg fan more than his mom and dad are, but, man, he ain't cutting it right now. So I don't know. Cody Simon would be one for sure. And then if they're going to continue to run this single high, the deep safety is so important to this defense, and he's so key and so crucial. I mean, and the Proctor was starting to get it too, and I was starting to be really encouraged by what I saw out of Proctor. Well, now he's removed from that. So, you know, I just think I think Lathan Ransom's skill set fits perfectly as a faster Jordan Fuller to play that deep safety, but then, you know, they must not think so, and they know a heck of a lot more than I know. But I would like to see Lathan Ransom get a shot at that safety spot. Loved what Cam Brown did last week for his first action over a year. Denzel Burke was better last week against faster, quicker, better receivers than he was the first week. So much like Simon, I'm gonna ride with that guy. He's young, but you can see the potential. So that's kind of my thoughts, you know, in each position group.
Nevada, I'm going to go right to you. Who do you want to see more of? Where at? Just give me your opinions on these spots.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see more of Kayvon Pope. I think, you know, he kind of, you know, it's always kind of put up or shut up, and you know, he was doing a little bit of talking before the Oregon game, and he went out and was actually, I thought he was one of the few bright spots on a defense that was just not very impactful. Obviously, you know, Ryan Watts, we've talked about Ryan Watts, and I think he's going to be a key guy, and he's going to be featured this week for sure. Craig Young, I like Craig Young. I like Craig Young all fall camp. I don't know how we haven't seen more of Craig Young. I would like to see more of him kind of going forward this week. I think JT Tuimoloau's got a role. I think Ronnie Hickman's got an expanded role. But, you know, it starts with finding that replacement for Proctor. And, you know, that's got to be Ryan. Ryan Watts has always been that super freak at cornerback where, you know, that 6'3" guy who can actually run and cover. I mean, he's the ideal guy to get back there. And, you know, I think him and Ransom back there at the safeties would be a formidable combo. And I think Ohio State can build off of that. And, you know, ultimately the players got to play better. And I totally agree with you in Bank. But I think when you see just so many of the things that we had going on this week and you know, this year with, you know, indecision and defensive calls that are just, you know, getting beat for the same play 3 times in a row, or Mitchell just frozen their linebacker. This can't be just players. This is scheme. This is scheme and coordination, because these guys did not just get untalented. It's impossible. You might have missed on one of them or 2 of them or 3 of them, but you didn't miss on the whole defensive side. I mean, every single one of these guys is a 4 or 5 star player coming out of high school. You know, they need to play better, but they got to be given a chance to play better, and I hope that starts this week. And I know, I mean, Tulsa's not bad. I can tell you right now. What's the line? 31 or 32 or 33 or whatever it is. I'm telling you what, I'm taking Tulsa the points until proven otherwise.
Oh God, we'd get everybody nervous. I agree with you. I think JT's got to play more. Tuimoloau, he's been. I mean, it's weird because he got here way after Jack, but he's physically stronger on the field. He doesn't get pushed around the way Jack does, and you know, Jack's a weight room monster, but that doesn't always translate to how you play on the field. You know, like I'm sure that Jack probably squats and benches more than JT, but JT doesn't get pushed around, and he's not. I mean. And I'm not saying Jack's not going to get there, but you know, right now JT is more physically ready to play than Jack is. But I'd love to see more of those two. I completely agree on Kayvon Pope. Like, it's weird he was complaining about not playing, and then he went out and played well. I mean, he played really well, and it's fascinating, to see if they can button it down to 3 or 4 linebackers, because the hardest part about when you play 8 is like, if each guy gets to play 15 to 20 plays and Oregon runs a play early in the game and you're not in for it and you don't see it, you never get to like correct yourself. Okay, you got me on the first time. Okay, here's the same motion, same action, because there's a new guy in there. And it's like when you're rolling all these different things in, you can't get a feel for the game. Like if I was an offensive lineman and they tried to roll me like that, I would go nuts, because you really have to get, it's cliche, but you really have to get a feel for the game. You got to see what they're doing, what new stunts they're running, and if you're defensive, you got to see how does the O-line play, what tells can I get from the guards and tackles, okay, when he's got, when he's got more weight on his right foot, he's pulling, there's all these little tells you get in a game, and you can only get them if you're actually in the game. And I agree with Ransom. When this defense was killer, it was when the Seattle Seahawks had Earl Thomas at free safety, the best player on their defense. And then they had Richard Sherman at corner, they had Cam Chancellor. But, you need that free safety to be probably the best player on the entire defense, because he's got a lot of ground to cover. He's got to get guys on the ground if they somehow spring loose. And Earl Thomas was a Pro Bowler every year he was in that system. And that's when they were killing it on defense. They won the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I agree, man. This is going to be as fascinating for like a 31-point spread. This is as fascinating of a game as I'm going to see, just because we're going to have to look, see where a guy's at, who's making calls, who's playing more, who's playing less. I'm excited about it. So we got a few minutes left. Let's talk offense real quick. The offense was pretty good. I'm going to start with you, Nevada, because I just think that, when you get 600 yards, 28 points, generally in the history of Ohio State, that's you win probably 97% of your games if you score that much. Obviously, this wasn't one of them. This is one of the outliers. But what do you think? Is there anything we need to change on offense? Is there, was it a mistake to move there, Munford to guard? What's your take on how the offense has been running so far?
I think just, Ryan Day said it today in his radio show. Like they need to, the quarterback run is part of the OSU offense. It is, whether people like it or not, or agree with it or not, or whatever. It's an integral part. And just let Stroud keep it a couple of times. Like he doesn't have to be a hammer. He doesn't have to have 20 carries. He doesn't have to be Tim Tebow or JT Barrett, but just keep it enough just to keep those guys honest. You saw what zone read action did to the OSU linebackers last week with Brown. The Oregon team, you heard in the post game, I heard personally from a coach from Oregon how they were just teeing off on the running back because they knew Stroud wasn't going to keep it. And I think, that's what the number one fix I would do is do that. And Dave's got to be a little bit more patient with the run. We got the ball back there at the end of the game, and we kind of abandoned the running game. And I don't understand that. I think those two issues are hand in hand, though. If you have Stroud keep a couple of times, prevent that backside end from crashing down. You go back and look at those short yardage plays. He would have waltzed into the end zone 3 or 4 times, but I think Dave's going to get that figured out. But that's the only tweak that I would do. Everything else in the offense, little things we can address. They can be better, but 600 yards last week, we're close.
What about you, Bank? Anything you change on offense?
No, I agree with everything there. And I'm the last guy that wants to see the quarterback running the ball. They're not going back to the JT Barrett offense, nor should they. But I agree, you got to be a little bit of threat in the college game. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. And then, I am so high on C.J. Stroud, more than I was going into the season. I think you got a guy there that you can really win everything with. So you're fine there. But then, those running backs are good. And that O-line is better than I really thought they were going to be. And I think Ryan has to trust that running game more. And I think he gets a little pass happy, and I think he abandons the run, man. And it's like, you can go back to that Northwestern game, that Big Ten title game last year. And I can't believe that 95% of Ohio State fans throughout that game are screaming at their TVs, run the effing ball. Please run the ball. Mm-hmm. And man, it's like, you can't stop that run game, and he loves to force that throw. And I thought he got away from the running game again, last week. You can't just give it up when, you keep hammering. Those guys are huge. Oregon had 3 defensive starters out, got 2 guys hurt during the game. They had to move a tight end to defensive end. Of course, he has a key sack in the game. but I would have kept pounding them. I thought they abandoned that run way too soon. They were down 2 touchdowns, but it was so early. If you're down 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, start throwing every down. But in the second and third quarter, just keep hammering them. I thought he abandoned the run way too soon. And again, I love Ryan Day. I love everything he brings to the table. But, stick with it a little bit longer. I think they could have ran the ball more.
Yeah, I think sometimes, with the running game, you don't really get the impact just by looking at yards per carry. It's more the confidence the O-line can build because they're coming off the rock. It's a lot more fun to run block than pass block. These guys love coming off the rock. We're humongous. And plus, they're down depth-wise. Like, they don't have Thibodeau, their best player. They're missing a bunch of guys. So keep pounding these guys. I mean, I know, like, on paper, like, a 3-yard run doesn't look like anything exciting. But you keep pounding these guys. Eventually, man, it's way more physically taxing for defensive linemen when they're getting double teamed and drilled with us coming off the ball than it is for them to rush the passer. I'm just telling you, like, they hate getting run blocked. They hate getting thrown in the dirt. They hate getting demoralized. And we have the talent. We have, PJ and Dewan can move anybody off the ball. I mean, but we have to let them do it. And you have to, if you get a 2-yard gain, you can't be like, oh, well, we're not ever going to run the ball again. We're not, it's a cumulative impact that leads up until the late game where these guys are beat to hell because our guys have been leaning on them and coming off the rock on them. And that's something that, I don't know if people realize that how much you can demoralize guys by running on them. I mean, look at our defense. I mean, they ran all over us. And I mean, there's nothing more demoralizing than when a team runs the ball over 277 yards. So, and the thing is, I think that, same with the rotation, like we have we have one good back, we have one fantastic back in Trey Henderson. And, you got to let those guys eat a little bit. I know that it's hard when you have 2 first-round picks at receiver, and Jackson Smith-Njigba was probably going to be a first-round pick too. But, man, you got to let these guys eat. And the biggest thing with me and why you need to run the quarterback a little bit, I'm not an advocate for running the quarterback in the A-gap and getting him smoked and QB power. Like, that's not what I want. I want him just to get out on the edge, go get 6 yards and slide. Like, you watch the NFL, Kyler Murray does it all the time. Jalen Hurts does it all the time. And it's like, instead of taking that big hit from a linebacker or a safety, you slide. You save the hit and you get 6 yards, and it's the same functionality as running the read option, and you don't take the blows. But the thing it can do is because on that 4th and 2 play, they had too many guys. Like, we couldn't block them, and Noah Sewell made a great play kind of wrapping over the D tackle and hitting our guy right in the hole. But like, if we have a QB run on there, we block it different. We read the backside guy, and the numbers are even. But when you're one short, it's what Urban Meyer used to always call it. That's a loser play, as in you can't win with it unless you just can physically, pancake every single guy. You're going to lose because you're short one guy. That's why he was always big on QB run, is because it evens the numbers up, so you actually have a chance on a play like that. So that's the thing that I worry about is, I get, like, I don't want CJ Shaw to get hit. He's not a real big guy. He's not real, huge. You don't want him to get hurt, but I think that he has to pull it at some point. You have to read that guy just so that there's that threat and the defense has to worry about it. Now, do I want him to run it 15 times? No. But if he ran it 5 to 8 times, I'd love that, because then they have to account for him as opposed to just being a straight handoff. Well, this has been awesome, guys. Dude, I really appreciate you, Bank. Appreciate you, Nevada. Fantastic. Thank you, Kevin Noon, for engineering this. You're the best. And we're going to get on these boards, man. These boards have been absolutely on fire. If you aren't on Buckeye Scoop, man, now's the time to get on it. We've had our biggest run ever. New subscribers, views, replies. We've broken every record this week. It's been awesome. So the boards are on fire. And if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, please click subscribe. There's a little bell down here. Get our alerts. And, you'll get all of our new content. We're doing, 3, 4, 5 podcasts a day right now, and really good stuff. So if you're a Buckeye fan, this is the place to be. Appreciate you guys. We will see you on the boards. This has been the Scoop World Order.